joining us here on the Fanatics View Hockey Show. Brendan, how are you this morning?
I'm great, thanks. Technology, crazy.
Hey, you made it work. You made it work. No one even noticed. Only I saw the camera go off behind the scenes. And Brendan, it is so great to talk to you again. Last time we came on, we were talking about your fishing show, and we were talking a bit of MMA, which is my world. But I've been doing a hockey show here now on Fanatics View. But I wanted to first and foremost start about the fact that you're going to be you have a YouTube channel now, and I think that's really cool to see a lot of former players or people like yourself launch that. Tell me a bit about the channel that's launching here very soon.
Yeah, we just launched it here actually just over a week ago, and it's kind of a new venture, and I kind of talked into it by my partner and producer, content creator for Real West Coast, Mike Bemister, who does these jack of all trades for the fishing show. He makes it happen, and he just thought it would be a cool time to try and pursue this. He's been on me to do it for like the last 3 years, and I've always been pushing it off. But I figured, you know what, let's give it a try. It's a fun time of year. The first time Vancouver has hosted a playoff game in 9 years, and it would be an opportune time to try to connect with fans and try to relive some memories and experiences that I had.
Yeah, and I think it's a great idea. In my world, in MMA, a lot of fighters now are doing their own YouTube channels because they're able to just post the content they want. They don't have to worry about doing an interview and things being taken out of context. They can kind of get the message they want out there. So I think that's really awesome. And again, very well respected, your accolades and everything. By the way, I also got to give you props. I loved you on that documentary that they did on the Real West Coast, the Scott Rintoul one, the audio podcast. What was it like kind of reliving all that? I know some tough moments, but obviously a lot of great moments captivating the city of Vancouver with the West Coast Express.
Yeah, you know what? Scotty Rintoul did an amazing job with that. And we had known that was in the works for a couple of years. He had called us and told us about the idea and asked us if we were on board. And we all said, absolutely. And he did a magnificent job kind of going behind the scenes. And I learned a lot of things on that podcast that I didn't even know before. So very intriguing, great storytelling. You know, he got a lot of really influential guests that kind of came on and gave their perspective of things and what happened behind the scenes in that time period, in that era. So I really enjoyed it, and it was a lot of fun to listen to it.
Let's talk about the Canucks in the playoffs. Obviously, some devastating news we heard before Game 2. Thatcher Demko out with an injury. Tyler Myers is out. We'll kind of be keeping tabs if Myers will be back in the lineup here tonight. But the latest we're hearing this morning, this is straight from Frank Saravelli. I want to get your reaction to this. According to Frank, I believe he's out for the series, referring to Demko. The Canucks can get into the second round. He's got a chance to play again. I did see a report that he's done for the playoffs, but I don't think that's accurate. Brendan, you've played when you have not had your starting goaltender. Of course, Demko, a really important piece of this team. What's the mood in the locker room like when you know you got to rely on your backup and you're not going to be having that extra edge with a goalie like Thatcher Demko?
Well, I mean, there's no denying that it's tough news, right? I mean, this is a game breaker, an all-star, a guy that can single-handedly win games for the hockey team. But I think that the positive or the silver lining in this terrible news is Casey DeSmith has done a good job this year. He's done a really good job when he's called upon to come in, and his teammates like him a lot. I mean, he got an awesome reception from the fans the other night. So everybody's rooting for him, everybody's cheering for him, and everyone believes that he can do the job. I think as a team, kind of galvanizes the group a little bit. You kind of get counted out now that your number one guy's gone, and mentally, I think it might change your approach a little bit as far as, okay, we need to tighten up here defensively. We need to take a page out of the Predators book and get in shot lanes. We got to block shots, but just, you don't want to change your game too much. And, but it does, I think, bring the group a little closer together.
If I remember correctly, I remember the year Bertuzzi got suspended. Was Cloutier not injured in that series as well, and Alexander Auld played? Or there was something I remember Auld playing that series against Calgary. So a bit similar here where you guys had a really strong team, were considered maybe a favorite to go all the way. How did you guys rally around Alex and sort of give him that support that, hey, listen, we got you. We'll get some goals here? Yeah,
so what happened in that series against Calgary is you're exactly right. So Klutz got hurt. I think it was game 3. Mm-hmm. And he had been playing unbelievable for us at the end of the season and played great those first couple games. He gets hurt. Johan Hedberg was our backup. So so the Moose, his nickname.
The Moose Mass, yes, from the Manitoba Moose. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
The Moose comes in game 3. I think we win game 3. He comes in game 4. We lose game 4. And then we went to Alex Auld, who essentially was playing the whole year for the Manitoba Moose, right? Because Johan was our backup. So Aldi comes in, plays game 5, 6, and 7, and again, it's mentally, you just try to prepare the same way. You try not to really change your approach. But I mean, you do have that mentality, a little bit of subconsciously, even just tightening up, tightening up. Let's try and help this guy out. I mean, we believe he can do the job. He's obviously, he's here for a reason. The coaches believe in him, and he'd been around the team a little bit that year, played a couple games. So it's a matter of, hey, he's gonna do his job. Just worry about doing your job.
Before we talk about game 2 in a second, because that's obviously the last time we saw the Canucks play, if anyone has any questions for Brendan, we'll try and get to a few at the end. Obviously, an absolute legend here from the West Coast Express era of the Vancouver Canucks. But my assessment of game 2 is this. I actually thought they played well. They weren't getting the chances they wanted. We saw the empty net miss from, I think, Miller broke his stick, and then Elias Pettersson obviously missing the net as well. But the key in that game was the block shots by Nashville. I don't think it was a goaltending issue. I know, some people talking about the body language with the Smith, maybe not feeling super confident, but I don't really think you can hold his head too down in terms of some of the goals that were scored. To me, it looked like a team that just got a couple bad breaks, couldn't take advantage of power plays. How did you assess game 2 from your perspective? Because I believe you were actually in the arena for that one.
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to get invited to go to the game and attended it. And it was an amazing experience, watching from a fan's perspective instead of, being on the bench as a player. You don't really appreciate everything that goes into a game like that and the emotions up in the stands. So that was a lot of fun. I agree with you. I don't think Vancouver played poorly. I mean, you look at how many chances they actually gave up. Hey, they would sign up for that every single game of the year if they give up, those few chances. And no issue with the goaltending at all. I mean, nothing Casey DeSmith could have done on any of the goals. The first one was that high tip. Yeah. I mean, great deflection. The second one is a world-class goal by a world-class player. I mean, that's a goal on any goaltender in any league. And the third one is, a costly turnover that he makes the initial save, rebound goes in the net. So no issues with the goaltending. I think Vancouver plays that game 10 times against Nashville. They win it 9 times. It's just one of those games where things didn't work out for them. I thought they deserved better. I remember walking out of the rink thinking, I can't believe they lost that game. I mean, they controlled pretty much every statistical category aside from the score, which obviously is the most important. And Nashville did a great job with block shots, right? So I think they just got to stick with it. They don't need to make too many huge adjustments. Maybe look at getting pucks away a little bit quicker, one-time shots, traffic to the net. Things that they're probably already talking about. But I don't think they need to make a huge adjustment. I mean, they had the puck a significant amount of time more than Nashville. They were dangerous at certain times. A few more pucks to the net, and I think they're in business.
I think too, you need your star guys to step up a little bit. I know there's sort of mixed reactions in this market about Elias Pettersson, because he is playing good defense, but maybe not giving the Canucks that lift that you need in the playoffs. I think there's a few times you saw on the power play, especially where there's a little bit of that hesitation, not shooting the puck. I think people want to see him get that release off and do that. And it's not just him. There's other players that need to elevate their game as well. You've been in the playoffs before. Like, how crucial is that to have your star guys really kind of pick the team up a little bit and not necessarily relying on everyone else on the team?
Well, you need everybody going every night, and you're going to have certain guys step up that maybe aren't your star players on a nightly basis. But with that being said, yes, you need your star guys to be your star guys. And right now, I know there's a lot of talk about Pettersson. I don't want to pile on him because he's an elite player, but can he be better? Absolutely. And I think he admitted that after the game too. I mean, it wasn't like he was deferring or passing blame. I mean, he took the onus on himself, and he's a proud enough guy to understand that he needs to be better for the team to be successful. And he just has to guard from frustration creeping into his game. Like, I think he had 9 shot attempts last game, 2 missed the net, 7 were blocked. When you have 7 shots blocked, you'd like to think it doesn't change your mentality, but it does. I mean, you don't want to keep forcing pucks into areas that haven't been successful. But I think the message from the coaching staff, the message from his teammates is, hey, keep doing what you're doing. I mean, you have success for a reason. The type of player you are, you got an amazing shot, your ability to read. Hey, if you have a shot, take the shot. If you have a chance to make a play, make a play. I mean, every situation is different for these guys, and he's got such a high hockey IQ. You expect him to make the right decision. So he can't get into a place where he's thinking too much. He just has to go out and react. Once you start thinking, it's too late. So just go out, trust your instincts, and react.
How big tonight is the fact that they don't let the first goal in? We talked about the first goal in the last game. A bit of a weird one. If you remember, Quinn Hughes sort of, fell over a little bit out of position. The puck goes and it sort of does this weird bounce and it goes in. And again, to Smith, it's kind of tough to see that one. That's been a theme the last 2 games where they've let in the first goal. How crucial is that to get that first goal and kind of set the tone of the game?
Yeah, I think it would help them a lot for sure. I mean, both games they've given up the first goal pretty early in the game. Able to bounce back in game 1, but yeah, I mean, it does change your mindset. I think it will change the mindset of more so of Nashville than Vancouver. Like Nashville is kind of comfortable sitting back, playing with a 1-goal lead. I think they get a little bit more uncomfortable if they get behind and they have to open up a little bit, which in turn should lead to more chances for Vancouver. Now, Nashville doesn't want to get into a game where they're trading chances, rushes up and down the ice. I don't think that's the style that they want to play against the Canucks. I mean, that's kind of where Vancouver, has done a lot of damage this year. So, for Nashville to play at the lead, it only helps them and their game plan. So it would be nice for Vancouver to get on the board first.
Taking all bias out of this aside, do you think the Canucks can win this series without Thatcher Demko?
I do. I still believe they can win this in 6 games. I firmly believe that. I know, and that's not disrespecting Nashville. I mean, they've had, they may be the best team in the league here the past 6 weeks.
Oh yeah,
they've been on fire. But I do think Vancouver's depth. You look statistically, offensive production, defensive production, special teams. I mean, Vancouver across the board is leading in every category. I mean, that doesn't always mean that you're entitled to win the series. I mean, there's a lot of intangibles that go into it. And a lot of things can happen when in the playoffs, such as injuries. But I do believe this team has the ability to beat Nashville, and I think they can get it done in 6 games.
I do as well. I think on paper they are the better team, and I think just having obviously Demko gives you that edge. But if you look on paper with this team and what they've accomplished this season, they should beat Nashville here. I think top to bottom they are the better team, but it's a matter of putting it together and actually doing it. And tonight's a key game, right? You go into Nashville, you win that game there. That really does change the momentum of the series as well. Brendan, just as a fan, kind of sitting back and watching, who do you really enjoy seeing on the Canucks? This version of the Canucks, you had some great players that you played with. You think a defenseman, Matthias Ohlund. We've got Quinn Hughes now. I don't think we've ever seen anyone like this in a Canucks uniform before. You've got some character guys like Dakota Joshua. It's really the makeup of this team is very interesting. It does remind me a lot of the team that you had when you were playing on the West Coast Express. Just as a fan, who do you really enjoy watching on the team?
Well, I would say my favorite player to watch on the team right now is probably Quinn Hughes. I mean, I love his edge work, his skating ability, his ability to escape from pressure, walk the blue line, create chances like seemingly out of nothing, right? I mean, you watch opposition wingers now that come towards him. They're so hesitant to charge at him, for fear that they're going to get embarrassed. But I think he's really taken a step this year with his game, obviously being named the captain, and he's taken a lot more onus upon himself to have impacts on games. I think he's been the best player on the ice the first 2 games by far, hands down. It hasn't even been close. The amount of puck possession time he's had. You look at that pass he made on the power play last game to Pettersson backdoor. I mean, that's a world-class play. And the other thing that he's really improved upon this year is he's defending, right? A lot of times he's playing those tough matchups. So he's probably my favorite player to watch on Vancouver right now.
Who's your Cup favorite right now? Again, we'd all love Vancouver to win the Cup. Let's be honest here. I mean, it would be amazing. The drought, the Canadian drought and all that stuff as well. But right now, just looking at all the teams, who do you think has the strongest chance?
Man, there's so much parity in the league right now. It's crazy. You look at in the West, you have the top team in the West, Dallas, who's in a 0-2 hole to Vegas, right?
Yeah.
Like, how do you count out the defending Stanley Cup champions? I actually picked Dallas in that series.
So did I. I picked Dallas to win the Cup, Brendan. I think they're the deepest team, and you add Tanev in the mix. I mean, that is a tough team, but Vegas is just, you get Mark Stone back. It really is like a lightning bolt for them.
Huge, and they're getting good goaltending. And they're not even playing the goaltender who won the Cup last year.
That's right. Yeah,
right?
yeah,
I mean,
exactly. He's injured.
It's bizarre. And you add, and they have an embarrassment of riches. And you add Thomas Hurdle's back healthy and Eichel. I mean, they're a dangerous team. But my favorite right now, and I know it's early, is Carolina.
Okay.
Carolina out of the East. I think they've kind of been talked about the last couple of years. They've had some heartbreak. I think the big thing for them is goaltending. They kind of have a bit of a rotation, although Anderson's their guy right now. But I think their team depth, they have a great back end, and they play a relentless style of hockey, kind of molded after their coach there, Rod Brindamore. So that's kind of who I'm leaning towards right now.
And the big thing with Carolina this season, they finally went all in and got a superstar. They got Jake Getzel from Pittsburgh. You see that's been paying dividends for that team, so I certainly agree. I'll actually respectfully go against you here. I think the Panthers, you saw what they did last night to Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay was one of those sleeper teams as well. You got Bobrovsky making saves, jumping over half the ice to make a save these days. If you've got that, and then you've got the combination of, you know, a guy like Tkachuk and so many other good players on that team, I just think Florida looks unreal. So I think
I don't disagree with you, man. Like, I'll be honest,
for sure. Yeah.
For me, it's a coin toss between those two teams. I kind of went a bit of a limb, but Florida looks good. Wow, they look good.
Yeah, and we can't pick the Rangers, right? Because 94.
Can't pick.
Anyways, there we go. Let's get to some questions. So we're wrapping things up again. Really appreciate that. This comes from my buddy Carlin Bardsley. He says, ask Brendan about playing for Canada at the Worlds and winning gold. What did that mean to him?
Yeah, that was fun. I had an opportunity to represent Canada 3 times. I over in St. Petersburg in 2000, we came 4th. In 04 in Prague, we won the gold medal. And in 05, we won the silver medal in, where was that at? Innsbruck, I believe.
Sure.
But anyways, yeah, winning the gold medal was great. It was we played the Swedes in the final. They had a great team. We got behind early in that game, but we battled back, and it was a lot of fun. I mean, it's kind of bittersweet. I'll be honest. Like, it's awesome representing your country, and there's a ton of pride. But you're not playing in the playoffs, right? So that's the trade-off. So it means you either didn't make the playoffs or you got knocked out of the playoffs. But having the opportunity to represent your country is special, and having a chance to win a gold medal was pretty cool.
This comes from my good friend Andrew Stein. He says, how do you suggest Vancouver fights through the clogging of the lanes like Nashville did so well in Game 2? Looked like a 1997 game in that one. Yeah, I forget, 36 block shots I think they had, or something crazy like that.
Yeah, 32 or 36, whatever it was. Yeah. Just stick with it. I mean, it's hard. It's easy to say, stick with it, believe in yourself. But it's that mentality of a short-term memory loss. Okay, a shot gets blocked, so what? I got to keep doing what you've been doing all year to be successful. One thing I do think they can do is, think about shooting one-time pucks quicker, right? So instead of getting the puck on your stick, holding it for half a second, allowing Nashville time to kind of get in position in shot lanes, it's kind of, make a good pass, one time that puck towards the net, traffic at the net. The more pucks you get to the net, just the more dangerous things are going to be. I mean, it's shocking with the amount of blocks that Nashville had that something dangerous didn't happen out of those blocks. Normally you block a shot, you still gets to the net, or blocks a shot and it goes in. So I think they keep the course, and I think good things will happen.
Another question here from Andrew, another great one. How do you reflect on your early years in New Jersey? And by the way, you did a great job explaining that on the podcast there, or the documentary, I should say. And how did going to BC change your career? Of course, you're from Pitt Meadows originally, right?
Yeah, so I grew up in Pitt Meadows, played all my minor hockey out there in Ridge Meadows. And early on in my career, it was a great learning experience for me. I was with the New Jersey Devils, and we had a lot of veterans on that team. I mean, a lot of Hall of Fame guys. Scotty Stevens was our captain, Scott Niedermayer, Marty Brodeur, Doug Gilmore, Dave Andrewchuk. I mean, the list goes on. And just learning from these guys was important, right? Like how to be a pro, how to be ready for games, how to prepare for games, all the things about being a solid professional. And, I think in New Jersey, when I look back in hindsight, I maybe got a little bit impatient with my career. I saw other guys that I was playing against in college and who were kind of getting more opportunities at other teams. And I was just in a situation where we had a lot of depth, and I was kind of, biding my time. But, I asked for a trade out of New Jersey, and they sent me to Vancouver. And for me personally, it was a great thing for my career. Got a chance to kind of grow up in Vancouver with a lot of guys that were my age, and we played an exciting brand of hockey in Vancouver, and I think really captivated the Vancouver hockey audience there in the early mid 2000s.
Yeah, and it kind of reminds me a bit of JT Miller, same sort of thing on the depth chart in Tampa Bay, gets to Vancouver, and now he's one of their best players, which is awesome. Much like yourself, Brendan. It was great. We'll get 2 more questions, and I got one more for you before we get out of here. Brendan, so in the 5th game back, Vancouver, who should come to crank the siren? Of course, Kirk McLean doing it the other night. Ryan Kessler the night before. She's saying Jeff Courtnall. Who would you like to see? And we should get you in there. I don't know what's going on.
I talked to someone a couple of weeks about maybe doing it, but. You know what? Like what I would do, Game 5. And I know they're still part of the team. Let's get Daniel or Henrik in there.
Exactly.
Maybe they're saving them for when they go deeper. But you don't want to get too far ahead of yourselves. Daniel or Henrik, one of those guys up there, I think that would be awesome.
Okay, and just one more here. Should we expect some lineup changes to the power play news? Vancouver is one of the only 2 teams in the playoffs without a power play goal, which is interesting.
Yeah, so they've had 6 opportunities, 2 in game 1, 4 in game 2. They haven't scored yet. One thing I did talk about briefly was about possibly changing the look of having a one-time on that right flank. So right now, Miller is kind of playing in that position, which is not a one-time shot for him. I mean, he likes to come high, get that pass, and kind of, as we call it, kind of come attack downhill. And a lot of times he'll slide that puck through the seam to Pettersson. But I wouldn't mind seeing maybe Besser or Hronek on that right flank, who both guys that can shoot the puck extremely well. Maybe move, or even possibly Lindholm, right? So adding maybe Lindholm or Hronek to that top unit, maybe move JT Miller to net front presence, have him work the goal line. And you can either have Besser or Lindholm in the slot, or Besser and Hronek on that flank. So maybe a slight adjustment there might change things. But Vancouver's power play has been decent all year. But they need, that's what gives offensive guys energy, right? When you go multiple times without scoring on the power play, it kind of takes your energy away if you're not having success. But if you're moving the puck around, you're getting touches, you feel good, it gets you into the game. You score on the power play, it really carries over to 5-on-5 play.
Got to get one MMA question in here because I know you're a fan. Did you watch the UFC 300? I'm sure you saw the Max Holloway knockout.
Yeah, I was actually traveling that night, so I was trying to get as much as I could. When I got home, I watched a bunch of the replays and that, but that was that. I mean, there's no
to the ground and saying "Let's go," and when he's up in the fight 4-0, right?
That is the definition of that belt, wouldn't you say? The bad MF. Like, everybody's like, he's up 3-1. What is he doing? I mean, he moves up a weight class. He's going to go bang with a guy who's notorious for knocking guys out. And then he knocks him out. Like, oh my goodness. That was epic. Like, speechless, really. That was insane.
It's always epic getting to do interviews with you, Brennan. Really appreciate it, man. Before we get out of here, just let people know where they can find your YouTube channel, everything you got going on with Real West Coast, and anything else you want to plug, man. The floor is yours.
Well, I appreciate that. Very generous of you. So yeah, I mean, the YouTube channel is Brendan Morrison on YouTube. We're about five videos in, so we're in our infancy here, but we're having a lot of fun with it. So it's a good way to engage with people, like, as you know, right? Like, it's awesome to talk about things that you're passionate about. And the fishing show, Real West Coast, we're heading into our 8th season here. So we also have a YouTube channel for Real West Coast, and if people would like to subscribe to both of those, that would be awesome for us. It's great for our sponsors, right? They like to see subscribers, so it always helps things.
Certainly does. Appreciate it, Brennan. We'll be in touch. We got to get you back on here at some point. Hopefully the Canucks will be going later in the series, or at the very least we can talk some fighting. Sound good?
Yeah, man. I'm in. I'm available whenever. Let's do it.
Awesome. Appreciate it, Brennan. Take care. That is Brennan Morrison, former Vancouver Canuck forward. It's just so this industry, man, like the opportunities that I get every now and then. Young James was, watching Brennan Morrison kick some serious ass when I was in high school as part of the West Coast Express line. If anyone has no idea what I'm talking about, go Google West Coast Express, Vancouver Canucks era. One of the most exciting eras in Vancouver hockey. It was Brendan Morrison, Marcus Naslund, Todd Bertuzzi. Childhood memories for days watching that team. And kind of like this Vancouver Canucks team, a team that did really surprise people. Naslund coming into his own. There was all this talk. I mean, you go listen to that documentary I was just referencing there that Scott Rintoul did. There was a point when Marcus Naslund it looked like he was going to get traded from the Canucks. It wasn't working out. And Brian Burke, bless him, gave him, gave him sort of the vote of confidence, and they took off. So yeah, highly recommend going and checking out highlights. Again, Brennan, just an absolute gem of an interview, and appreciate his time. So